Okay, so on the next page of the addendum, we have the notebook checklist. This is something that I use, again, sometimes it really depends on whether or not I'm requiring notebook pages to be submitted, whether I'm requiring notebooks to be submitted. But even if I don't necessarily require this page, sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, it depends on the class. It's a really great page to kind of use to keep yourself organized. Now, one of the things that you'll see here is it says at least 70 pages. That's really going to vary by semester. It's going to vary by the number of course meetings that we have. So that's something that might change. But over here it says, now that's for the notebook. In fact, I would say any more, you should probably have a notebook that's at least 100 pages. So there's that if you're wondering about that inconsistency, because I know that earlier in the syllabus itself I say something else about notebook length. So over here, another sidebar, how do I know how many notebook pages I'll need by the end of the semester? Just calculate the following. The number of hours of class time per week times the weeks of class times 2, adding the required pages outside class time, because you need to have, remember, you need to have 1 page of notes for every hour inside class, and you also need to have an equivalent number of notes outside class. And then any additional notebook assignments and opportunities that you may have, and there you go, that's the minimal number of required pages. Any other kind of stipulations that I say, well, you need to put this in your notebook, would kind of fall under that last one there. And as you go through, again, these things that I've talked about before in regards to the notebook, you need to make sure that your organization is evident, that everything is legible. It would be nice if every page was numbered. In fact, that's a requirement as well. And conference notes should be included as well. And again, we're going to talk about conferences a little bit later. But as you're actually sitting in a conference, please make sure that you're taking notes there as well. I don't just have those so that I can kind of hear myself talk. It's expected that if I'm going to dedicate the time to meeting with you in a conference, that the things that we talk about there, that you're actually going to take those and use them as you're continuing to develop your products for the class. Okay, and then just the last few things here. We have the syllabus test, and you can see that the syllabus test is actually pretty extensive. Let's read through the instructions really quickly, though. Review the syllabus and any additional materials received. Answer the questions based on the information provided and on your own common sense. This may be something I might not mention in class, but common sense is also a big part of this because of the development of critical thinking. It is expected that you will try to critically think about the actual syllabus itself, that you're going to be looking through, that you're going to be making observations. And one of the ways that we make sure that you've kind of read through all the material, that you've processed the material, is we have this test. But some of these questions are common sense questions. Some of these questions don't necessarily have answers that you're going to find in the syllabus. And for those, hopefully you're going to have the common sense that you're going to be able to answer those in the ways that are expected, that are sensible. And it goes on for a bit. Please do make sure that you're answering all the questions and that you're answering them to the length required, that you're giving complete answers. Scrolling through, toward the end here, you'll see that it moves on to short answer questions, 3 to 4 sentences each. So please make sure that you're doing that as well. And then finally, we have the syllabus contract. Now, before I do anything else, before I talk about any other part of the syllabus contract, one of your first assignments is down here. List 3 questions that you have about the syllabus. And when I say about the syllabus, I mean any part of the syllabus that you received in class, whether it's the regular syllabus, the syllabus addendum, or whatever. Please make sure that you list those, because that's going to be for points. Regularly, people don't give me questions here. They either don't notice it, or they forget to do it, or they put NA, or they say I don't have any questions. If you have any of that stuff, if you don't actually have questions in those spots, you're not going to get those points. And this is, the last time I checked, this is 15 points right here. This is 5 points for each of these questions. So please make sure that you're answering those questions. Let's go back up a little bit, though, and let's take a look at the syllabus contract. All right. You're going to have to fill out all portions of this for your work to be counted in class. If I do not get a signed, completed syllabus contract back from you, I'm not going to count the work that you're doing in class because we haven't come to that agreement yet. Now, in terms of this contract, you need to, like any contract, you need to make sure that you read it carefully. So let's take a look at it. Please complete, sign, date, and return the following by the second class meeting if you get this by the second class meeting. If it takes maybe to the second week of class, that's fine too, the third class meeting, whatever, but you need to make sure that you get it back to me relatively quickly. And the expectation is that you're going to get it back to me when you have completed that syllabus test. And in fact, I'm probably not going to accept this page without that syllabus test as well. You will not be readmitted or counted in the class roster, nor will any of your work be graded until this slip is completed and returned. Now, note here that it says, completely copy the following text into the space provided. What you need to do then is you need to take this whole thing by hand and you need to copy it into this space. If you do not do that, and some people just miss it, it's happened a lot of the time in the past, is people just don't do that part. If you don't do that, that's not a complete syllabus contract. I want you to actually copy this stuff into that box. Now, let's read what it says here. Again, depending on what school you're at, this may vary. By having completed and signed this test, I verify that I have read and understood the policies described in the course syllabus and addendum, including the information regarding plagiarism and other forms of academic dishonesty. I agree to work and produce material in a responsible and ethical manner as defined by the Georgia State University Student of Code and Conduct. The Georgia State University Student Code of Conduct. And to adhere to all other guidelines stated in the course materials. Again, that may vary depending on where you're at, but you're going to get something very close to this. The expectation is that you will have familiarized yourself through this syllabus and through looking at the student handbook. You will have familiarized yourself with all the stuff that we're talking about here, as well as academic dishonesty and plagiarism, what constitutes those things. One of the reasons that I give out this contract is because by signing it, what you're telling me is that you understand what plagiarism is and how it's being defined by our class and by the college. If you sign this and you're not familiar with those definitions, and that becomes an issue, what's going to happen then is, because you have signed this, you're essentially saying that you're familiar. And if you do something that violates the norms, the rules of academic dishonesty, that means that you're going to have to suffer the consequences for that. You're going to have to be held accountable for that. You're going to be seen as being liable. So please make sure that before you sign this, before you get all this back to me, that you complete that quiz, that you complete that syllabus test, and that you familiarize yourself, that you understand what I am counting as academic dishonesty, what I am counting as plagiarism, and also what the school itself, what the institution is counting as academic dishonesty and plagiarism. And if you're not familiar with those things, please make sure you ask me. And ask me about any part of any of this, whether it's the regular syllabus, the syllabus addendum, or anything that goes on in class. The hope is that you're going to ask me about those things that you're not clear on. And that goes for these videos as well. If as you're reviewing these, because between the regular syllabus and this addendum, if you're listening to these, if you're watching these and you have any questions, please let me know, because one of the things that I want to do in class is I want to deal with those questions. I want to answer those questions. I want to make sure that everybody's clear on everything. So that's what we have for now. Check out some of the other videos on the YouTube page so that you can know about the other things that we're going to be doing in class. And thanks for watching.